What if I told you there's a 19-year-old American tennis player who defeated 3 top 5 players in a single season, finished a match at 3 a.m. in Melbourne, and his name isn't a nickname or a stage name, but tells an incredible newcomer family story. This is learner Tien, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why tennis legends believe he's about to change American tennis forever. Let me hit you with this stat. At the 2025 Australian Open, ranked 121st in the world, Tien defeated number 5 Daniil Medvedev in a match that lasted almost 5 hours. The match ended at 3 a.m. He was 19 years old. But here's what makes it even crazier. That was just the beginning. By the time 2025 was halfway over, Tien had also taken down world number 2 Alexander Zverev and world number 10 Ben Shelton. 3 separate top 10 wins before his 20th birthday. And we're just getting started, because the story of how he got here, that's where things get truly remarkable. First, let's talk about that name, learner Tien. You might think it's a nickname, something motivational, maybe something his coach gave him. But no, learner is his actual birth name. And the story behind it is absolutely beautiful. Learner's parents, Quang Dan Tien and Huyen Tien, immigrated to the United States from Vietnam. They settled in Irvine, California, where they built their lives from scratch. His father became a real estate attorney, his mother a math teacher, and that's the key. His mother was so passionate about education, so dedicated to the idea of lifelong learning, that when her son was born on December 2nd, 2005, she named him Learner. But it gets better. Tien has an older sister named Justice, named after their father's profession as a lawyer. Think about that for a second. His parents were so proud of their achievements in America, so dedicated to their values that they literally named their children after what they stood for. Now here's where the tennis journey begins, and trust me, this isn't your typical prodigy story. Tien started playing tennis at 18 months old. That's not a typo, he was 1.5 years old. His father coached him at the community courts in Irvine. At 5 years old, he won his first tournament at the Racket Club of Irvine. But what's fascinating is that Tien wasn't this explosive, powerful player that scouts immediately recognized as special. In fact, that became his biggest question mark. He had no monster serve, no devastating forehand, no single weapon that made coaches say that kid's gonna be a star. What Tien had was something different: precision, efficiency, and an unshakable work ethic. By age 10, he joined the USTA Player Development Program. His junior career was impressive, 76 wins against just 23 losses. He made the finals of both the 2023 Australian Open Juniors and the 2023 US Open Juniors. But even then, he lost both finals, to Alexander Blocks and Joao Fonseca respectively. Here's the plot twist. He actually beat both those guys to win the 2023 Australian Open Junior Doubles Championship with his partner Cooper Williams. So he knew how to win when it mattered most. Then Tien made a decision that changed everything. And before I get to that, could I ask you to subscribe? It really helps my new channel grow so I can keep making great tennis content for you. So after one semester at the University of Southern California, Tien decided to turn pro in the summer of 2023. He was 17 years old. This is where most tennis fans miss the story, because what happened next was absolutely brutal. In 2024, Tien entered over 30 tournaments. Not ATP tournaments. We're talking about ITF events, challenger circuits, the absolute grind of professional tennis. He was ranked 473rd in the world when the year started. He won 6 ITF titles. He won 3 challenger titles. And check this out, at one point he went on a 28-match winning streak across ITF and challenger levels. 28 matches in a row. One of those challenger wins? A 39-minute final, the shortest championship match in challenger history, against Bernard Tomic at Fairfield. By the end of 2024, he had climbed from 473rd to 114th in the world. And more importantly, he had played so much tennis that by the time he stepped onto the big stage, he was ready for anything. January 2025 Australian Open, learner Tien is ranked 121st. He has to qualify just to make the main draw. He gets through qualifying. First round, he faces Camilo Ugo Carabelli in a 4-hour war. He survives. Second round, Daniil Medvedev, 5 sets, 4 hours and 48 minutes. The match ends at 3 a.m. in Melbourne. Tien wins the final set tiebreak 10-8. At 19 years old, he becomes the youngest American to defeat a top 5 player at a Grand Slam since Pete Sampras in 1990. Third round, Corentin Moutet, straight sets. He's in the 4th round of a Grand Slam, but here's what nobody talks about. After that incredible run, Tien struggled hard. He crashed at Indian Wells in Miami. On clay, he could barely win a match. It looked like maybe the breakthrough was a fluke. Then the hard courts came back. February 2025, Acapulco, Mexico, Tien defeats world number 2 Alexander Zverev. At 19 years, 3 months old, he becomes the youngest American to beat a top 3 player since Andy Roddick in 2001. June 2025, Mallorca Championships. Tien defeats world number 10, Ben Shelton 6-4, 7-6, becoming the youngest American to beat a top 10 player on grass in ATP history. July 2025, Washington, D.C., Tien stuns world number 6, Andrei Rublev, 7-5, 6-2. His 4th top 10 win of the season. October 2025, China Open in Beijing. Tien reaches his first ever ATP final after defeating Lorenzo Musetti and Daniil Medvedev again. Medvedev retired injured in the semis. At 19 years and 9 months, he becomes the 2nd youngest finalist in tournament history, after Rafael Nadal. He loses to world number 2, Jannik Sinner, 6-2, 6-2, but this run vaults him from world number 121 to a career high ranking of 28 in the world. So what makes Lerner Tien special if he doesn't have a massive serve or a killer forehand? Here's what the experts say. Tien plays efficient tennis. He's remarkably precise from the baseline. His footwork is exceptional. Tennis analysts compare it to a young Novak Djokovic. He can go from defense to offense in a split second. He doesn't try to blast winners. He makes you earn every single point. And in 5-set marathons, when other players are cramping and making errors, Tien is ready because he's played more tennis than almost anyone on tour. Plus, he's being coached by tennis legend Michael Chang, the youngest male player ever to win a Grand Slam at the French Open in 1989. Chang sees something special in Tien, and he's been instrumental in his development. Remember when I mentioned Joao Fonseca and Alexander Blocks earlier? Those 2 guys who beat Tien in the junior finals? Well, Tien just gave us the perfect ending to this story. On December 21st, 2025, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Lerner Tien won the ATP Next Gen Finals Championship, defeating Alexander Blocks in 3 straight sets in just 58 minutes. Remember how Blocks beat Tien in the 2023 Australian Open Junior Final? This was redemption on the biggest stage. Tien became only the 2nd player ever to reach back-to-back Next Gen Finals, and unlike Alex de Minaur, who lost both times, Tien won it. He joins an elite list of champions: Stefanos Tsitsipas, Jannik Sinner, and Carlos Alcaraz. Lerner Tien, a name inspired by a mother's love of education. A player who doesn't rely on power, but on precision, grit, and an unshakable belief that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. At just 19 years old, he's already defeated 4 top 10 players in a single season, reached an ATP 500 final, and sits at a career-high ranking of 28 in the world. The question isn't whether Lerner Tien will win a Grand Slam. The question is how many. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of tennis's brightest young stars, smash that like button and subscribe to Tennis Legacy for more incredible tennis stories. Drop a comment below. Do you think Lerner Tien will win a Grand Slam? Which top player do you want to see him face next? I'll see you in the next one.